Dave Paterson, thanks for coming back on to the Backbone Zone, man. Psyched to have you.
Yeah, nice to be back.
Yeah, I'm so psyched. We've been talking a lot, and I just need to keep talking about bikes with you. And I felt like the podcast was the spot to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
perfect. No chance to nerd out. I mean,
yeah,
I can
yeah,
we can
yeah.
we can talk about everything. Get
Sick.
get nice and deep with it. Yeah, sure. Nice to be back. I guess it was like a year ago we did the last one, right? It's
Yeah, I
actually a
guess
year ago.
so. Yeah, far
Yeah,
out. Time
yeah.
does fly.
Yeah. Tell it
Yeah,
right. I mean, like you came all the way over to Europe. You had your 22-hour stay in Cologne.
yeah, yeah. That was um such a good trip to get over there. Like obviously I came over for Nora Cup, as you know,
Mm.
but some people may not know. Went over to the UK and I'm so glad that I was able to come and visit with the people and we make things because without blowing smoke up your ass or anything like that, like I love seeing when things are run in a bit more of a professional manner, like it was very
We try.
eye-opening to me to see like you
Yeah, it was good
guys
to have you over.
yeah, doing things at like a really high level.
Yeah, we
Um,
try. We definitely got our own kind of tempo and way of working. But I mean, for me and for us as a brand, it's super important to have the riders over here, and see kind of like the whole team here. There's a whole team of people getting everything running. And for me, it's kind of special to kind of show the riders like what goes into not just making products, but keeping the brands alive on like a daily basis. So kind of I try as much as possible to get riders over here to just kind of meet the team here. It gets everyone here motivated, and I think it's kind of an important part of the process, because we're not just a logo on a helmet or a sticker on a top tube. We're a company. We're a rider-owned, rider-run bike company, and we love what we do. So yeah, we're sick to have you over. Short but sweet.
yeah, well, sure, but sweet. I
Basically a
actually,
layover, right?
yeah, it was technically a layover, but it was worth it. I feel like
Yeah, for
I
sure.
keep trying to explain to people how I had the sickest what was it? It was like a kebab joint, like Lebanese joint or something. What was
Oh
it?
man, kebab land.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's
like
that is the that's for shit. That
it
place.
was pretty funny because I was like, man, I went to Cologne and it was sick. I got off the train, it was super late, and then we went to some kebab joint. And kebab
Yeah.
joints are pretty big in Australia. I don't know if they are in the UK as well, but
Yeah, they
like,
are, but that's not real food. If you
yeah,
have a kebab,
it's
okay, it's
very
2 in the morning and you've lost your shoes. Like,
yeah, but that was classic, man. And it
yeah,
was
that was
also
good.
just sick to see like that area. Cologne, I guess, is steeped in BMX history, probably because we
Yeah,
make
for
things
sure.
is there, but
Yeah,
also the
there's been a long
worlds and
history of
whatever.
BMX here. Like, yeah, I mean, now it's I swear like half the BMX riders in Germany live in Cologne. It's
Sure.
but yeah, there's a lot of history here there, and that's cool. You'll just be like walking through a park on like a Sunday, and then suddenly you'll be like, oh, Marcus Wilkie hit that in like 2001 or something, or like, yeah, I've been out just in the city, and you just see spots where like so many famous riders have ridden over the years, and it's yeah, it's definitely for Europe. It's like rich in BMX history. I think it's like the location as well. Like Cologne is very central in Germany and in Europe as a whole. It's quite a flat city, so it's quite easy to get here, I'd say, if you want to get here. So I think there's always been like a steady stream of riders, like whether it's German or international riders coming through. We obviously had the Worlds and the Masters here over the years, and
Mm.
then you've got so many other contests
Yeah.
like Hammer and Nails, like Felix's contest,
Oh,
which
of
is happening
course. Yeah,
again
yeah.
in May, which is it's gonna be nuts if you can
Oh,
make
sick.
it.
That's happening
Definitely
again.
come out for that. Yeah, that's happening
Yeah,
again.
right.
So yeah, Cologne's always had like a steady buzz of BMX, and I think
Mm.
that's like it's like a big part of what we do as well. But it's yeah, it's nice to have a bit of history. I was kind of like riding through the city with you and just showing you just like a small taster of
Yeah,
like
it's
all
the
the
best,
spots and
man.
stuff that's gone down.
I feel like that's the for me anyway. I love that aspect of BMX. Like, I don't really ride street. I haven't done so for a long time, but I'm
Oh
still
man, you
such
went in though. Street Tyson came out.
Oh,
You were going
just
in.
flopping like a goose all over the joint.
Yeah, me and Max were just looking at each other like, I don't think he wants to go home to Australia. I think he wants to get broken.
Yeah.
It was sick though.
I actually couldn't ride my bike after I got home from that trip for like 3 weeks or something. My shoulder was like really bad. It was really
Yeah,
quite
because
weird.
you were trying to do pole jam tail whips on
Yeah.
the biggest bike we've ever made, and then you had a flight in like 3 hours. It was good. It was good to see. But yeah,
Well,
it was a nice trip. It was good to have you over. It's
yeah, it
good to like
was,
show the office and everything and
yeah, it was
everything
sick,
that's
man.
going on here. You'll
Yeah.
have to come over for a little bit longer than 22 hours next time,
I
eh?
definitely, yeah, I definitely need to come over. Me and the family are talking about the Germany trip. My wife's
Hell yeah.
half German, so
Oh yeah, I
she's
remember you saying that.
yeah,
Yeah.
she's like
Uh,
really keen to get over there and see some of,
yeah, man. Yeah,
that
let's make
area.
it
But
happen.
dude,
Yeah,
we got to make it happen again.
sure, sure.
Um, yeah, one of the things obviously that struck a chord with me being in the office is the fact that you are you're the product manager, right? Like we spoke about this last time, but once I
Yep.
was over there, I really got to see that that's exact, like, you're in an office sitting down with like prototype stuff all around your desk and plastic molded things and drawings and things like that. Talk to me a little bit about sort of the process behind, going from idea to that first ideation when it's going to not even production. We're talking about going from idea to
Just like
first
concepts and
prototype.
stuff.
Concepts, yeah.
Yeah.
How does
Yeah,
that
I mean
come about?
it varies on the product, you know.
Yeah.
Like obviously we've got like a whole team of people here. It's definitely not just me. But but yeah, I mean often sometimes it will just start with an idea, something maybe I think of or Harry here thinks of, or quite often a rider. I mean, I try and stay in touch with all of our team riders on a kind of regular basis, just talking to them about ideas. And sometimes I pitch them crazy stuff, you know, just to see how they'll react to it. So sometimes, yeah, it's a rider comes up with an idea, and a lot of the time it's kind of a solution to a problem, you know. We have our own bike shop, the People's Store here in Cologne, and I spend a lot of time in there, and Harry's very well connected with that shop. And sometimes it's just watching kind of kids come in and maybe struggle to take the chain off or have an issue with tire clearance or something, you know. That's like where oversized bars and stems came from our size. That was actually, if I remember correctly, we were at Rebel Jam in 2014 or 2015 in London, and Harry was watching practice and just watching rider after rider land flat on the quarter and the bars slip. And shortly after that, he was like, "Hey, why don't we do oversized bars? This has been done in mountain biking for years." So normally it starts off with like a concept or an idea from a rider or from our side, and then yeah, it's kind of workshopping, playing around with ideas, whether that's in 2D or 3D, and then getting to the point of having a prototype. I mean, we have a 3D printer here. It's definitely a really useful tool, that, especially when it comes to kind of products that are very aesthetic based, like kind of plastic injection products. But we'll often start working on a product, not always with the end result of creating a finalized product. We're just looking for a solution. But it really depends on the project and the product. But yeah, it's we talk here, we discuss it kind of daily, kind of ideas. I try and stay in contact with all the team. Our shops and distributions are a fantastic help. I'm always reaching out to them to try and get feedback. And uh, and yeah, it all starts with an idea. Sometimes it's a completely crazy idea. I mean, if you look at the products we've produced over the years and you compare it to like the projects we've started, sometimes a product is just too out there, or it's just not economically feasible to create, or it just doesn't end up working. And I think that's something with our brands that's been a big part of our history is trying to do stuff that's never been done before, or trying to fix a problem that others just think, hey, we'll just deal with it. And an insane amount of time, money, and effort goes into yeah, creating products that might not take shape. I mean, look at the hybrid free coaster, for example. That's a good example. So Harry's been working on hub designs for decades. Um, and yeah, the blind free coaster was something that was worked on well before my time. And although that hub didn't didn't end up going exactly the way we wanted. The R&D and all the hours spent in car parks checking slack discs and springs all went into what later became the hybrid hub, which is the hybrid free coaster system we use in all of our hubs and a lot of other brands are using now. And it's by far the best free coaster system ever. It's super durable, it's simple, it's reliable. All the team riders ride it. And that was a lot of R&D that happened even way before my time that ended up going into it. So I think we invest a lot of time in products, and sometimes they may not take the shape and form that we want then, but we'll definitely use that research and development kind of later along the line. So some things are paused and then at a later date we do it, but it's yeah, it varies for sure. But like your frame was a great example. I mean, you came up to us with kind of a crazy idea. You were like, let's put a disc brake on a BMX frame, and that was by far not an easy feat. That was a lot to get that to fit and work on a BMX bike. So kind of a standardized product, you know.
Mm.
So yeah, you come up to us with an idea and we work on it and we develop it, and we kind of get to a point where we have a working prototype. And then if things are working, we'll kind of focus a bit on production. Can we bring it to market? Will the market accept it? Were riders interested in having a disc brake? Will people go batshit crazy on Instagram and tell people that the rotor is going to cut their legs off? You know? So yeah, I mean, we enjoy working on something new. It's something we've always done, and there's always something new being worked on here, whether it's for Wethepeople or Klar or any of our other brands. But it's definitely a rewarding part of the process at the end of the day, where you know the rider you've worked with on a product has the thing they dreamed of, or whether you're just out riding and you just see a kid riding down the road on a tire or a pedal or a grip that started with a small conversation. So it's yeah, that's probably simplifying it quite a bit, but yeah, a lot of work goes into it. But it all starts off with an idea, I guess, and we're always thinking of ideas here for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I could not believe the breadth of, yeah, I guess R&D that even I witnessed on that one day, you know, like, and that was just like being in the office, like seeing all the different stuff, seeing the different people working on different drawings, on you showing me into the samples there, you showing me things that are like like this, they're almost like so out there as concepts, but at the same time, I can see that like you're kind of thinking so far ahead, like in a lot of things we've spoken. I don't know if you would ever want to bring anything up that you guys have sort of thought about that
Carbon fiber
has
spokes.
carbon fiber spokes. But you know, like there's
Maybe.
things that I was really impressed with, just to see that you guys are willing to push the envelope, you know. After seeing the office and what you guys are up to, I was like, well, of course they can do a disc frame. Like some of the stuff that you guys have been working on is so much further into the future almost than what my
I think
frame is.
it's
As much as my
yeah,
frame was like cutting edge, you know, at the time, like it's pretty exciting to see some of the stuff that you guys are mucking around
yeah.
with.
I think it's like BMX is a hard one, and I think we touched on it in the last podcast we did, but it's an industry which isn't extremely accepting of change, especially when it comes to product. Um, Especially now more than ever. I mean, BMX parts and bikes are the best they've ever been by far. I'll start
Hmm.
by saying that. But in terms of kind of accepting new standards and ideas, it's a hard industry because our typical consumer does not have the disposable income that you know, like an e-bike customer has. So
Hmm.
the bikes do have to be a bit more simple, a bit more, way more universal, and way better for the money, which for a designer or developer is it's the first hurdle we have to do, you know. But yeah, we're always working. We just love bikes here, so we'll always try our hardest to make something fun. And I think right now it's important to kind of captivate the consumer, you know. That doesn't sound too businessy. You've got to keep kids
No,
stoked on
no.
BMX. You've got to make people see a picture of a frame and go, wait a minute, what's that? What's going on? And I think if every brand just stops putting money into innovation, trying to do something new, then it just becomes the same. And I think that's bad for everybody. People will get bored, people won't get excited, people won't ride bikes. And that's what we want at the end of the day, right? We want people looking at their BMX bike and going, this thing is sick. I'm going to go out on it today. And I think that's what we try and do, you know. It's not for everyone. Some people aren't product people, and that's all good. They just love BMX for what it is, and I think that's fantastic. But I think other people are kind of super into the product side and they want to ride a bike that excites them and ignites their imagination. And I think we'll always definitely cater to that too.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of not everyone is into, necessarily pushing the envelope with ideas in BMX. One of the things that obviously we've been working on over the past, it's got to be over a year now, is the Chaos Machine now coming out in a 22-inch wheeled bike, which is behind you, with the matching fork.
Yeah.
Give me your thoughts on give me your thoughts on 22-inch BMX for
22.
starters, and
Yeah.
then sort of where we the people obviously had been doing the audio for a
Mhm.
while, and
Yeah.
was it something that you guys felt the need to do and the need to continue to move in that direction?
Yeah. I think 2022 in general, 22-inch wheels, I think is cool. I think the first brand I saw do it was called Faction. I think it was, must have been like 2008 or something, I would say. I could be wrong. But yeah, 22-inch wheels have been around for a while, and I think it got to the point where I think BMX and bike industry always needs like a little kind of something new, little niche, whether it's a new wheel size or a standard. And I think it's good for everyone. It's good for the industry. It was like when fixies came out, everyone was making fixed gear bikes, and
Mm.
but yeah, so we first did the audio. I want to say like 2018. I mean, there've definitely been a bit more buzz around 22-inch wheels. Few brands had done their own frame or their tire or even a complete bike, and we're a complete bike company. So yeah, we did the audio, and that bike sold really well. We wanted to do something a little bit different with that bike. We kind of wanted to make something in the middle where it wasn't a full, it was actually the full aftermarket frame, but it wasn't a super high-end bike like the Envy, but it wasn't a super entry-level bike. We wanted to kind of, I guess when we make complete bikes, we almost invent who the customer is when
Oh,
we're
for
designing.
sure. I
We
can
have in our
imagine.
mind who this person is. And yeah, with the audio, we wanted to do a 22-inch wheel BMX bike, not too trails, not too park, not too street, like full chromoly frame, chromoly fork, good aftermarket parts. We opened our own tire and rim, obviously. And yeah, that bike kind of opened our eyes to that whole 22-inch market. I mean, if you look at the Wethepeople range, it is big, and we do a bike for everyone. You know, we do a flatland bike now, we do a park bike. So it was great to do the 22-inch thing. And then when obviously since more brands have offered 22-inch bikes and they've become more popular, it's definitely grown a lot. I'd say the average 22-inch customer is maybe like a rider who hasn't ridden in a few years, maybe is a little bit older, maybe even a mountain biker that wants to get into BMX. And I think that larger wheel has a lot of advantages. Number
Mm.
one, a larger wheel will roll faster and it will roll better over terrain. It will have more grip. Um, and it definitely can offer a lot more stability over a normal BMX bike, over a 20-inch wheel. I'd say a lot of mountain bikers have picked up a BMX bike and it's simply been too small for them compared to what they used to riding. So a 22-inch really kind of sits in the middle. It's still a BMX bike, but it's larger wheelbase, larger wheels. And I think for like skate park and trail riding, it's great. I remember Max came to the office when we had the first ever audio sample and he half cab whipped it like third try. I mean, typical Max, he could half cab a London bus if he wanted to, probably.
Yeah, I keep saying to people that he could half cab whip a shopping trolley. That dude can
Yeah,
do freaking
totally.
everything.
But it's 22 inches definitely got its place. In my
Yeah.
eyes, it's still BMX. I mean, BMX is is more than just what bike you're riding, you know?
Oh
I think it
man,
goes
yeah,
deeper
that's
than
been
that.
a theme lately for
Yeah, but
sure.
it's yeah, but yeah, when you hit me up and you were like, let's do a 22-inch wheel, we were already had people asking us the first time we teased your frame, can you do it in 22-inch? Like 22-inch wheel. And yeah, it just made sense. I mean, it's a big bike, your bike. It's actually
Mm,
so big that the chainstay length is the same on the 20-inch version of your frame as the 22-inch. It's the same back end
mm,
completely, which
yeah.
is crazy. So having your bike in a 22-inch wheel version made even more sense because when you compare the 20-inch and 22-inch versions of your frame next to each other, there's not a whole lot of difference in it. So essentially, if you have a 22-inch Chaos Machine frame, you've got like a good solid Trails frame, which fully works with a disc brake. But it's got proportionally a similar wheelbase to the 20-inch
Yeah.
version. You just get the benefit of that larger rolling wheel, which helps with stability and speed.
Yeah.
Little less twitchy, a little faster on the jumps and stuff, a little bit more grippy. So
Yeah.
yeah, when you said can we do a 22-inch, I was already had it in the back of my head. It's something I thought could work. So I was actually excited that you were willing to try it.
Yeah.
And yeah, we didn't have to change too much. So obviously the 22-inch one fits. It's built for a 22-inch wheel. It's got a taller 975 standover height because you wanted proportionally the bike to be a bit bigger. A lot of 22-inch bikes can look a bit strange, I guess,
Yeah,
when
that's
we
one
were
of the biggest
discussing it,
things for me was
because proportionally it doesn't look the same
yeah.
because you've got bigger wheels, but the standover height. So we raised the standover to 975 and then kept the geometry pretty similar proportionally, sunk the bottom bracket a little bit lower than the audio. I think it's 1225.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, that
other
was a
than
big
that,
thing for me too. I was like, we got to make sure the bottom bracket's lower
sure,
than
because
normal.
if you use the same BB, I mean the BB will be higher, because you've got that effectively an inch taller wheel,
Yeah.
like from the bottom. So
Yeah.
so yeah, we made the BB a bit lower and we kind of tweaked the geometry, but yeah, other than that, it's still the Chaos Machine frame. It's just a
Yeah,
bit
man.
bigger for bigger wheels, and having a disc brake, especially for this kind of mountain bike crossover idea, is something mountain bikers get on a BMX bike and they go, "What the hell is this brake? This thing is from like 1910." Like so yeah, using a hydraulic disc brake, especially a good one like Magura brake, they were kind enough to hook us all up with some brakes. So yeah, 22-inch, and I guess it's shipping to distributions now. So that frame will be available in the next month or so, depending where you are in the world.
Yeah, yeah, man. I've been running.
Sorry.
I've had mine. How long for now? Maybe 4 months or so since the just before the start of the year. Yeah, potentially. And
So
I
how
got
have you
it.
found it?
Well,
How have
yeah.
you?
Like I
Yeah,
found that. To be honest, I had a really, really hard time trying to figure out what it was that I didn't like about it, if that makes sense. Like I've never
yeah,
had a 22 before, and I've
sure.
ridden, my friends have had, some of my best friends have had 22-inch bikes, and I could
Yeah,
certainly see the appeal. And but once I actually built mine up, I was like, immediately, I actually felt like I could maneuver that bike more than I could maneuver my 20-inch
they're crazy.
in some weird way. Like it's even though it's a
Yeah,
bigger bike, like I think I felt really comfortable with being able to maneuver around. Um, yeah, it was certainly interesting. Then I swapped back. It's actually a really funny story. Well, it's not really that funny, but I um I rode my 22 at the trails when all of the dudes from the US came over, like Stu Johnson came over with like
oh
some of
yeah,
the
yeah.
S&M
So,
dudes and whatever, and I was riding my
shout out to Stu.
22. We had like a pretty yeah, shout out to Stu. And then yeah, had a six sesh on the 22, and then I had to go back to the shop because one of the boys blew his wheel out, so I had to go get a wheel. And my 20 was sitting in the shop, and I was like, well, I may as well just bring it because my 22 is at the trails anyway. I can like have a go on the same day. And it took me like probably half a dozen laps to sink back into the 20 feel. So I can
Yeah,
certainly see how if you were coming from a bigger bike area and then you were like you wanted to ride a BMX like a I guess like a proper BMX, then you'd be jumping on the 22. But
for sure.
one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about, and maybe you can tell me that I'm dreaming, but I actually so I didn't really even realize that I could do this, but I got my 22 frame and fork, and I bolted on first off I bolted on my back wheel from my 20-inch wheel on my 22-inch bike,
Mhm.
and had like a little play around in the car park just to see what it would feel like. And then I was like, well, it looked pretty sick, but it kind of felt a bit a little bit weird. But then I
So
just put
22-inch front wheel,
22,
20-inch rear
yeah,
wheel
22 inch
in the
front
22-inch
wheel
frame.
in the
So
22 inch
like a
frame.
mullet,
Yeah,
essentially.
like a
Like a
mullet
mullet.
with the 22 inch
Yeah,
fork still.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then, and because I had the disc brake, there was no worries with the brake, right? I could just chuck it in and it
Yeah.
was all good. But then I put my 20-inch wheels in front and back and rode it outside. And I was like, oh, this feels really good. And then
So
I
you're
went,
20-inch wheels in the 22-inch frame and fork.
yeah, so that's still the same fork,
I remember
22
you
inch
telling me
front.
about this. I think
Yeah.
you sent me a photo. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So and because the shop, because Backbone is like literally like 50 meters away from Belconnen Skate Park, which is a really big skate park with two big box jumps. I just went over there after work and rode it. And I seriously couldn't, I actually felt like it was the best of both worlds. Like I had this big stable bike, but my wheel size was still very familiar, which kind of helped me to understand where my wheel was in space when I was like riding a quarter pipe and things like that. So what I'm
So
kind of,
I tell you what you've done, right? So
yeah,
maybe when you put this out, we can do a little diagram or something.
yeah,
So you've got
yeah,
a 22-inch frame and 22-inch fork,
yeah,
but you've got 20-inch wheels in it.
yes,
So effectively, the angles don't change. So the head tube angle, seat tube angle doesn't change. The main thing you're changing is the bottom bracket height.
yeah,
So obviously the bottom bracket will be lower, but you're also changing the axle to crown of the fork.
mm,
So you're using a 22-inch fork. So the bike gets lower, but the bars and the seat will be a little bit higher. So essentially it will be, yeah, it'll be actually, I mean, the crazy thing is a normal BMX bike feels much smaller than a 22-inch because most BMX bikes don't have a super long chainstay like your
hmm,
Chaos Machine
yeah, yeah.
does. But the 22-inch Chaos Machine frame has a proportionally almost exactly the same chainstay length. So it probably felt exactly like
Oh, it felt exactly the same.
yeah, because also the bottom bracket wouldn't really change compared to the 20-inch bike. So it would feel
Yeah,
like your 20-inch bike,
yeah,
but it would just feel a bit higher because the axle to crown of the fork will be longer than a traditional 20-inch fork.
mm,
So yeah, and the standover is taller. So
yeah.
effectively, what you've got is just a little
It,
bit more taller stack and standover height, which yeah, that's something BMX riders have been enjoying a lot the past 10 years, like a taller frame and bar.
yeah.
So that's interesting. It's not quite what I had in mind
N-
when I designed that frame,
Nah.
but it's cool. I think it's important to experiment with bikes. I mean, look at mountain
Um,
bike. The
yeah.
typical mountain biker has way more than just one bike.
Yeah, yeah.
They have you know, a hardtail. They have a full suspension.
Hmm.
Like a lot of the mountain bikers in the office here, they go on holiday and they bring a trail bike, a hardtail, and a full downhill rig. And
Yeah.
because mountain biking is so many more terrains than just one, and that's the same with BMX. I mean, I guess it's just part of BMX where we have one bike and we keep it one bike, but having multiple options, I think, can be great. Like, why
Mm,
not? It's more fun, right? I mean, I
yeah.
built up my Chaos Machine bike last summer, and when I was doing that frame with you, I riding trails is something I've done in a very long time, and it totally isn't my normal style of riding, I would say. But I had so much fun kind of developing that bike with you and working on all the trail products that I was like, I'm just going to build one. So I built one and I got fully back into riding dirt again. And it was like falling in love with BMX again. It wasn't that I've fallen out of love with it, but riding a completely different setup bike that's like that much longer than my normal bike,
Yeah.
forcing you to ride in a different way. I can recommend that to any rider. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of riders out there who've ridden the same bike for 20 years and they've refused to change it, which is all good. But for me, riding a totally different kind of bike on a totally different terrain, but it's still BMX, that I fall in love with it. I mean, now when I go riding, I actually find it hard which bike to bring out with me. Like, do I bring out my Pathfinder with a free coaster and a short chainstay and kind of do more jibby street stuff, or do I get on my Chaos Machine and just do some laps and just pedal as fast as I can and do skids and stuff? And
Yeah,
it's all
yeah.
BMX and it's all fun. And I think that's why it's important. to offer so many different products, and also as riders to sometimes step out of your comfort zone a little bit if you can and try something different, because it's all BMX, it's all fun.
For
Like for
sure,
me,
yeah.
definitely got me buzzing last year, just riding completely different ways. So
Yeah.
yeah, working and offering loads of different bikes and experimenting with your setup, I think it's sick. I mean, it's put a smile on my face ever since I did it. So
Oh, that's sick,
yeah,
man.
why not throw 20-inch wheels in a 29er? I
Yeah,
mean,
well, I feel yeah,
maybe not, maybe
maybe
not.
not, but I feel like
Clickbait
I'm
content.
I'm in a lucky situation. So like, yeah, because I did a bit. Obviously, we did a bit of math, and like 11.25 bottom bracket isn't really that crazy, especially for people that want a low BB. But the one thing that I thought was really interesting is putting all of that height underneath your frame.
Mhm.
Like I don't know exactly what the axle to crown difference is between a 20 and a 22, but like everyone goes up with the bars, but it's
Yeah,
really interesting to think like you can go up
with a
with
fork.
with the
Yeah.
fork so long as you use a frame that's designed for that fork.
Exactly, exactly. That's the thing. Like if you start doing this on a regular 20-inch frame, you're going to completely throw the geometry out, because
Mm.
if you have a frame and you
Yeah,
have a
you're gonna
tall
like
fork,
slacken it up.
you're gonna slacken it.
Yeah, that's
Um,
right. And your bottom
but
bracket's gonna go up and things like that.
yeah,
So
exactly, exactly. So that's why on full suspension mountain bikes they have stuff like called flip chips, so they can change between a 27.5 and a 29-inch wheel.
okay.
I don't think BMX is there just yet, but
No.
like but yeah, I mean experimenting is great, and that's why it's been cool working with you from the beginning on all these trail products, because you have such a wealth of knowledge of both, yeah, what feels good to ride a massive jump on, and
Mm.
also what riders want, what could help. I mean, you've been pretty like non-conservative in, trying different things and wanting to, which is great, and that's enabled us to create a very unique product. I mean, it's sick. I hope more companies put out frames with disc brakes. For a trail rider, I think it makes a lot of sense. It's obviously
Yeah.
not for everybody, but the feedback we've had on your frame has been absolutely fantastic. Like seeing so many riders around the world riding a Chaos Machine frame has been sick. So yeah, now we have the 22-inch, and I think it opens it up to a whole new realm of riders. Like trail riders, taller riders, mountain bike riders. I mean, we built up a custom 22-inch bike. I've just got it outside the office,
Oh, sick.
which is like the creme de la creme of all the trail products. And we have it in our showroom upstairs. And for mountain bikers, that thing is great. They're walking past and they're like, damn, I want to ride that. So I think, especially right now with like where BMX is, I mean, if we can get more people enjoying it, wanting to be part of it, and if part of our answer is going a little bit creative with the bikes and offering it to a different audience, I think that's great. More
Oh, for sure.
BMX is so much more to offer than just the bike, but
Yeah.
sometimes having the bike that fits them is what kind of brings people in. Like we've
Yeah.
got like, mountain bikers working downstairs at traffic distribution who are, they see the Chaos Machine frame and the bike I've got and you've got, and they're like, damn, I want to get a BMX. And I think that's fantastic,
Yeah, that's pretty sick. Yeah. Just like one last thing on that 22-inch bike and what I think is really quite interesting. And I know that we're getting into the weeds of uh specific geometry, and some people like hearing about it and some people don't, but um because of the lower bottom bracket, but then the forks raise your bars up, but put your bars without having to go taller in your bars. It seems like, and especially because the frame is obviously built for the geometry of the 22-inch fork, so everything sort of feels relative. It creates what I've been seeing is that a lot of older riders seem to want to run taller bars, right? Because their backs are hurting. But
yeah,
then it kind of throws the whole bike out of whack in terms of the geometry as well. Because once you go like 10-inch and plus bars, then all of a sudden your center of gravity goes further back and
yeah,
you end up standing up taller, but then your bike doesn't feel quite the way that you want it to feel. But whereas with the 22-inch fork and frame, but with 20-inch wheels, all of a sudden you're going to get a bike that is standing you up taller, but you're actually lower in the bike.
yeah,
And
for
I think
sure.
that's quite quite interesting without being without the bars being like up here.
Yeah, I mean, when you first sent me a photo, I couldn't actually tell. That was what's kind of cool. And I stare at bikes and
Yeah.
day. And when you sent me a picture of your 22-inch frame and fork with 20-inch wheels, I was like, huh?
Yeah, yeah. Like what
It
you can't
took
even
me
tell.
took me a minute. Yeah, I
Mm,
mean, geometry is a funny one. There's so much you can change,
yeah.
even on like a handlebar, you know.
Yeah.
But like, but yeah, I mean,
Uh,
if it kind of starts something where people ride bikes a little bit different, like why not? If it
yeah,
feels good, like then yeah, pedal it, have some fun on it.
for
Like
sure.
it's definitely. I mean, if you look at mountain biking, I mean, a suspension fork has a way taller proportional axle to crown measurement than a BMX fork because they
Hmm.
need to travel.
Yeah,
And you know,
that's right.
mountain bikes have very low handlebars. Obviously, they've got
Y-
like a larger wheel and stuff.
Yeah.
So why not? I mean, yeah, we may have set out to design a 22-inch frame and fork, but ultimately we've kind of created this kind of, I don't know how you would describe it, like a kind of adaptable geometry
Well, kind of, man.
on
Like
a bike. Yeah.
I feel pretty psyched about that happy accident, to be
Yeah.
honest,
Yeah.
because like if you got the disc hub, then you can really like, and you say you ride a 22 already, and then you have the disc hub set up as a 22-inch chaos machine, and then you're like, oh, maybe I would like to try a 20-inch wheel. Like that's the only frame that you can do it on. Like I don't want to sound like this person that's like, yeah, I invented this new thing
Because
but
you
I just
wanted a chainstay longer than like anything anyone's ever made. That's why. Because obviously on a 13.75, 13.5, 13-inch chainstay, that 22-inch wheel wouldn't fit.
mm,
So I think like
yeah.
that's why. And for you, it feels the same because the chainstay lengths are the same. But it's cool. Maybe we should create some kind of animation to explain it or
I would
something.
love
But
to do, yeah, it would be really cool to sort of show the difference with that because I
yeah,
think
I mean,
that
I
it could really,
calculated everything. Like I have all millimeter by millimeter, degree by degree, how it changes things.
yeah.
But I think some riders, they just need to see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, for
geometry
sure.
can get pretty nerdy.
Yeah.
But yeah, essentially, if you want one frame or fork that will fit everything, then it's coming soon, essentially.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's it, man.
I mean, it's cool. Most riders don't want to really play around with geometry and stuff, so it's definitely an interesting experiment. But
Yeah.
so we'll have the frame and then the audio fork, the aftermarket fork that used to come with the audio frame, we'll do separately.
Yeah.
And then we have the overbite tire and the logic rims in 22-inch.
Sick.
So we have like a yeah, good supply of 22-inch products, which is hard right now. I mean, like
Mm.
a lot of BMX companies have discontinued all that 22-inch stuff actually.
Oh, really? Oh, that's a shame.
That's so from what I've heard, like
It seems like people are screaming for it. I mean, I'm getting hit up every other day
yeah, I mean,
about
I
the
think it's a
22
different
inch.
different kind of customer, isn't it? I guess it's not
Yeah.
maybe not the I guess it is core BMX audience, but it's I
I
guess
think it's just
people
an
want
older
to
demographic,
for
and
sure.
I think it's important, like just having spoken to a lot of people now about the differences between BMX and say other sports. BMX really needs to start to, and you guys are doing it obviously with we make things like kind of nurturing that the fringes, like because
Sure, yeah.
everyone's sort of riding BMX. They
Yeah,
might not be
totally.
riding what the hardcore 21-year-old street rider thinks of BMX,
Yeah,
but
100%. Yeah,
there's
because
like,
I think yeah,
yeah.
you've got to like cater to that first time rider that needs a really affordable but durable, well-designed complete bike that fits them. I mean, so many complete bikes do not fit kids, from the past, even the size of the saddle, the diameter of the grip, the reach of the brake lever. So I think you need to create a really great bike which enables kids and first-time riders to have the best possible experience. But you've also got to support the lifers, like the people that have been riding BMX for 20 or 30 years, I feel often get overlooked. They're the ones who love this shit so hard. They've been doing it for so long, and they're your loyal customers. They're the people that love your brand and want to buy your products and are genuinely excited and love BMX so much. They've done it for such a long amount of time, and I think I really enjoy discussing and like getting involved with like those types of riders because they're lifers, you know, like they love BMX so much they're willing to do it through no matter how many kids or jobs and stuff. And listening to their feedback and experience and stuff is also super valuable, and I think can
Mm,
get overlooked because like I think you've got to listen to everyone. You know, BMX is such a broad spectrum of people who are involved. You know, sometimes we really need to come together and be this one unit, which is hard. But other times you've got to understand that BMX means different things to different people, different points in their lives, you know, and different eras as well. You know,
yeah.
certain riders come from, you know, grew up riding BMX in the 90s, will have a very different outlook on BMX to like, you know, younger riders, like teenagers who are just coming into it. So I
Yeah.
think everyone needs to kind of listen to a few more people than they're normally used to, because BMX just means different things to different people, but doesn't mean we can't all enjoy it in the same way.
Yeah, for sure, man. I agree. Yeah, what's your thoughts on uh well, I put up that thing on my Instagram. I'm sure you saw it of what my thoughts were on Molar's new frame.
Yeah,
What's
cool.
yeah,
I think it's sick. I mean, S&M, it's one of the most legit BMX brands around, you know.
yeah,
Like I think it's great. I think it's great for BMX companies to make different kinds of products right now.
yeah.
I feel right now there's not a whole lot of kind of stepping outside the comfort of what a typical BMX frame is for the typical BMX consumer, because you know there's risk with that. There's
For sure.
money that gets put into development and marketing to a product that might not take off as well. So it's definitely a risk to do something different. But I think it's great. I mean, the feedback on that frame has been super good, and it makes a hell of a lot of sense. And I know it's something S&M were playing. I mean, Mola had one a long time ago with a disc brake mount in a different way, I think. But yeah, I think it's great. I mean, like the more BMX brands that are trying something different right now, trying to excite the sport and or the lifestyle or the riders, I think is important. I salute any brand that wants to step outside of the comfort zone and do something a little bit different. And
Yeah.
BMX is all about character, right? Like
To
BMX bikes are characters.
yeah.
Like, and I think our bikes are a reflection of that. I mean, I know some of our riders couldn't name a single product on their bike. Others, you know, take it apart every month to grease every bearing. And I think
Mm,
like creating a yeah different kind of product is fantastic. I like salute them, and it's sick that the Maddog frame looks cool, and I think it makes total sense. I mean, Mola, you know, he rides. I think he lives in Colorado now, right? And he's riding a lot of trails, and having a disc brake kind of fits. I just wish that there were more BMX friendly disc brake alternatives out there. That's the only thing. Because if you think about it, a modern day disc brake lever is designed for mountain biking, where they have a very short 130 mil grip, and then the brake lever is positioned a lot further along the bar because they have a
I
lot
know,
flatter bar.
yeah.
So the trigger part where you hold the lever is a lot further away, whereas in BMX we run a longer grip, and the brake lever is always against the grip because we don't have a super long grip tube.
Yeah.
So that point where you bite the lever is actually somewhere over there,
Yeah, that's
and it's
right.
very hard. That's why, yeah, Magura were nice enough to send us a whole bunch of air brakes because they have that cool one finger lever which has a lot more reach
Mm,
and feels a lot more like a BMX lever. But I think actually, in order to get BMX brakes a little more cemented in BMX, like someone needs to step up and make a lever that properly fits. Because if you use like a regular Shimano hydraulic disc brake lever, it's super flat and long. And the point, if you run with your hand close to the end of a grip, where the flange would be, the actual biting point of the lever is much further in that direction.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
think that's something that could be done. I mean, obviously hydraulic products are a whole different ball game. That's definitely a lot harder than, you know, like CNCing a seat clamp or something. So
Mm,
I think that would help. But yeah, I think it's sick. That Maddog frame is rad. Like I
yeah.
think BMX companies should step outside of the norms a little bit more when they can. But it's hard, you know. Like I mean, we're privileged enough to be in a position where we know how to make product and do it well and do it good. And I think on a smaller scale, doing something a little bit different is definitely harder. So I think
Oh,
we
100%.
respect and we feel privileged that we do have the opportunity here to make new products, more exciting things. And it's almost a little bit, I feel like our kind of obligation to BMX to help push that way, because a lot of things which started as just like a crazy idea that people wouldn't like have slowly become the norm now. And being involved with that one way or another is something we're proud of and hyped.
Yeah.
So it's not just about creating a product that, you know, everyone goes out and buys. If it steers BMX in a good direction design wise, then we're hyped to be part of that, you know.
Mm. Yeah, for sure, man. Well, like that kind of the whole innovation and new stuff with BMX kind of leads me into the next question that I have that's a little bit away from actual bike design, but maybe not. With BMX, it's in this interesting point right now, or at least where I am in Australia, and I don't know how it's kind of looking more globally. Obviously, you would speak to some of the riders from the US and different parts of Europe and UK, but like mountain biking is seeming to have quite an influence on BMX, or at least like maybe potentially taking away from BMX. I don't know. That's just the feeling that I get.
I kind of see it the other way around, to be honest. I mean, mountain
Sure.
biking is a far bigger industry, and it's a complicated one to say exactly why. There's so many factors to do
Mm,
with that. I mean, from my personal opinion, I think one thing is mountain biking is a very diverse sport. So many different bikes, so many different sub parts of it. You've got slope style, you've got World Cup, you've got cross country, you've got enduro, you've got downhill, you've got dirt jumping. Um, but they're all mountain bikers, you know. Obviously, you can't say everyone feels that way, but generally speaking, mountain biking is a sport together. Like if you go to a Crankworks event, thousands of people there. They're not all slopestyle riders. They're like, you know, maybe like people that just enjoy a little bit of a ride on the weekend or something. And I feel like mountain biking is very good at coming together, and their industry, because of that, there's, if you make a product, there's a lot more people you can come to. And I think in BMX, I think we talked about last time, it's sometimes harder for everyone to come together. You know, like a park rider and a trail rider feel like they're from Venus and Mars, you know. And I feel like we could learn a lot from that. It's harder. At the same time, I mean, BMX has never been so more relevant in mountain biking as it is now. Mountain biking looks for um, so much inspiration from BMX. I
yeah,
mean,
you.
there's never been more mountain bikers riding BMX bikes and BMX riders riding mountain bikes. I mean, I think what mountain biking tries to get from BMX is this kind of authentic core lifestyle, because we're not this huge industry. And, you know, 9 out of 10 BMX riders really are doing it because we just love it and we do it whether we were broke or not. It has this kind of, maybe a bit of a quote, kind of like a punk rock esque like attitude towards it. And mountain bike brands love that. I mean, that's why you see a lot of BMX riders associated with mountain bike brands right now, because they see something which is very core and very real. And
Mm,
they say we need that, because mountain biking, in my opinion, working in the bike industry a while, like it can seem sometimes a little tame, a little bit flat, a little bit not authentic sometimes in certain ways with brands maybe. And I think they see that in BMX. They see how much we love it, that we'll ride through a tough time. And I think that's cool. I think we can borrow from each other, you know. I mean, I hear in different podcasts certain people saying mountain biking is stealing from BMX. Well, I say like, well, why don't we learn from that? You know, instead of complaining that there's more kids on mountain bikes at pump tracks than BMX bikes, like we've got to ask ourselves why. Like, what can we do to make BMX more appealing for a younger rider? Are we maybe a little bit too like insular and not inviting enough? Are we thinking about it differently? So it's two different things in my opinion. But rather than seeing mountain biking and the bike industry as the problem, I think we can just learn from it, you know. And I think,
mm,
like I said last time, as BMX riders, we're emotional people. We that's what makes us love this thing so much. And I think sometimes those emotions can kind of like, you know, get tensions can run high and stuff. And but I think that's what makes BMX great. I wouldn't change it for the
yeah.
world. But with mountain biking, yeah, it BMX riding is in, you know, looking to mountain biking for a bit of inspiration. And I think it's just as much the other way. I mean, how many BMX riders do you see wearing 510 mountain bike shoes?
Mm,
I haven't seen any yet,
no.
but I think it's cool that they want to involve BMX with their program and
Yeah.
kind of take that authenticity and kind of, street riding and inject it into the mountain bike side of things. I mean, it'd be cool to see them do a little bit more with it. We'll see what the future holds. But I see it working vice versa, really. I don't see mountain biking as a problem.
No.
I think we just need to kind of learn from it.
Yeah.
I mean, for us as a brand, we take inspiration from mountain biking a lot for sure. I mean, oversized bars, stems, oversized crank spindles, through axle hubs. We didn't invent that. That's been done for a very, very long time, but we definitely look elsewhere in the automotive and bike industry for inspiration with our products for solutions. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely not something that we have a problem with. I mean,
Yeah.
we mountain bikes we have done for a long time on radio.
Yeah. 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 I don't have a problem with it either. I think that I've just spent my whole life riding BMX, so it's not really something where I'm affected by it negatively. And a lot of the mountain biking video projects that go on these days is something that kind of, I would say, almost like appeals to me more, not more, but there's, you don't see a lot of BMX trail projects going up online just
True.
because trail footage is hard to come by. The dudes
Yeah,
maybe don't want to have people filming it. You know, there's XYZ reasons why, but if you're trying to look for something that's sick trails online for inspiration, it's few and far between with BMX. But and I think there's, like you said, we can learn from each other with a lot of different things. So I think that the second that you start trying to blame something else is when you don't grow. You know, you
for
don't you
sure.
don't
I
learn.
mean, the bike industry is definitely in a unique place right now, we'll put it that way. So it's yeah, it's a time of maybe stepping outside of our comfort zones and
Mm.
looking at things differently. But you're right. I mean, like, do you know how many Brandon Semenuk videos I've watched before I go riding? I mean, how can anyone watch that and not
Yeah,
enjoy that? But
that's right. The creativity and whatnot.
beautifully and creative, and I mean that's art what he does with his
Mm.
filmer. He
Yeah,
makes art, he makes bike riding look good no matter what he's riding. I mean,
for sure.
he can ride everything. So it's yeah, the whole mountain bike debate is something I hear quite a lot, but I'm all for more people on bikes. I
Yeah,
think whilst at the same time you've got an obligation to stay true to the BMX industry and and do things the BMX way, but like there's so many other ways of doing things.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
think right now, I mean, yeah, mountain biking's sick, BMX is sick,
for
gravel bikes
sure.
are sick. Like
Yeah,
it's bikes,
y-
bikes are fun. But
bikes
like
are fun.
bikes are fun, but I'll always feel a BMX rider. I don't
Yeah,
think that'll ever go. I
yeah,
think
for sure. Yeah,
like 20 years of that shapes who you are as a person, not just the
Hun-
bike rider.
yeah, man. I mean, there's very few feelings that can be, replicated at like riding at a quarter pipe or hitting a jump on a BMX bike. Like it's the
Totally.
best that it could get.
Really. I mean, that's why we do so many different kinds of bikes on We the People. I mean, we do the Avenger, which is that 27.5 kind of modern clunker. And I
Yeah,
mean, you have one of those and you've been having loads of fun on it.
yeah,
And
man. Yeah, it's
I
been
think
sick.
BMX can be lots of different bikes.
Hmm.
Totally. I mean,
Yeah,
you can
exactly
argue
right.
in the time, I mean, BMX is an imitation sport, it's bicycle motocross.
Yeah,
The whole
yeah, that's
BMX
right.
started as an imitation. So when I hear kind of comments like, "Oh, these mountain bikers are stealing from BMX," I mean, where do you think we got half our tricks, names, places to ride from? Like we
Yeah.
took it from skateboarding, we were
Mm,
bicycle motocross, we took our roots from somewhere else. So I think BMX in its very nature is an adaptive sport, and that's why we all enjoy here riding a lot of different bikes and creating bikes. But yeah, making
for
the
sure.
BMX bikes is something special. But yeah, I mean, probably a little bit early to talk about, but we are developing kind of other new Wethepeople bikes next year, which maybe cater a little bit more towards the kind of trails community. We'll kind of leave it at that. But I think we're
Yes.
always trying to like build different things to cater for everyone. Like
Yeah,
everyone can
man.
ride whatever
That's
they want.
that's exciting. And like just to go on to the Avenger thing, like I've modded that bike too
You've
with
fully
the
Mad Maxed that
I've
thing.
Mad Maxed it out. Like it's got suspension forks and I put a 26-inch back wheel on it, so it's like a mullet now, and lightened
Crazy.
up the gearing and
Cool.
whatnot. But like, it's funny because it's not a BMX, quote unquote, but I'm doing BMX on it. Like I feel like I'm bicycle motocrossing the hell out of it. Like
Yeah, totally.
it is what you make of it. And I think
Yeah,
just
totally.
BMX resonates in a lot of people's hearts, I guess. Like, like
Yeah,
there's
completely.
yeah, there's a lot of lot of mountain bike guys that are thinking, man, I want to ride my bike like a BMX rider. And there's
Yeah, totally.
yeah. So
Yeah, I think it's sick. It's good to experiment. You've definitely
mm,
ticks a lot of things off the list that I've always thought about kind of trying with a bike setup, like
yeah.
with that Avenger thing, like seeing how it would work. So it's yeah, it's cool. I mean, the whole wheelie bike thing. I mean, I don't know how big that is in Australia, but the whole bike life thing
Yeah.
is something I find super interesting because it's a very, very young sport, if you can call it that, like a
Hmm.
lifestyle. We've recently I've recently started working with a couple of like bike life wheelie bike
Sure.
riders on some of our brands, and learning about their sport is interesting. I mean, it's a very young thing. It's like BMX was in the 80s or 90s. Not that I remember that time well, but from what I can see, I mean, there's less rules. They're still deciding what it is, and
Yeah, yeah.
kind of
Everyone's
talking to
just
those riders is really interesting for me because we have BMX, which is quite a free sport, but there's a lot of rules and things that have taken place over the time since BMX started. And then there's these kids essentially on these large wheel bikes, and they don't know what they're making up how their sport works, what tricks should look like, what the bike should be, and I find that super exciting and kind of genuine. It's just like BMX. They're meeting up with their mates and going to ride their bike, and they're blasting through the city. Like one of
yeah.
my first like real street experiences was going to one of the very first dub jams in London and meeting up with 300 or 400 BMX riders and cruising through the city and creating carnage and all that. And that's what these kids are doing on a daily basis on this whole bike life thing. And
Yeah,
I
wow.
think that's sick. I mean, the more kids there are on bikes and not playing Xbox, and God, that
Yeah.
sounds so old saying that. But I think it's cool. I think there's a lot of people having fun on bikes right now, and I think BMX needs to embrace that a little bit better. And like one of our kind of like wheelie bike guys, like he's doing flatland on a 29-inch cruiser
Oh,
bike.
psycho. Wow, that's crazy.
It's just like he watches Felix Prangelberg videos for inspiration.
Mm,
Like it's sick. I think we do forget sometimes that BMX riders get influenced from things you wouldn't imagine. I mean, we've got like a really good team of flatland riders on Wethepeople right now. And it's a really nice mixture of kind of the older flatland generation and the new school. And one of our riders, Julien Baran in France, who's absolutely incredible. I mean, like he gets inspiration from watching street videos and stuff. You can watch him do a hop whip. He's got one of the best bunny hop tails I've ever seen.
oh, that's so sick.
Completely to pedals, steezed out. Like it's incredible. So I think like we do forget sometimes that riders get inspiration from all sorts of things. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
more bikes, more types of bikes, like making stuff for everybody is important. Like
Yeah,
22-inch
totally.
wheel, 27.5, 18-inch. It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's cool. It's an
Yeah.
exciting time for
It
BMX
is
for
an
sure. It's
exciting
definitely not
time, man.
it's not an easy time, but I feel like we're at this point now where like BMX is more accessible and available for anyone more than ever before. There's more skate parks being built. Kids are getting into BMX at a much younger age. Bikes are so much better. Skate parks are not a sketchy place to send your kids where you're worried they
Mm.
might get sold drugs. They're like a normal play park on a weekend. So I feel like whilst there is a lot of kind of, stress and difficulty in the bike industry, I mean, there's more people enjoying bikes in a more accessible way than ever before. And I think we all need to kind of try and facilitate that as much as we can. It's sick.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah.
love opening my phone and seeing, some kid on the other side of the world doing free whips over spines on a 16-inch bike. And
Yeah.
Sasuke in Japan, like that kid is one of my favorite BMX riders.
Yeah.
He's riding like a full 18-inch frame and fork and bar we designed with him. And he's pushing BMX at such a young age to such a high level. And it's more than just he's a good rider. I mean, that kid is a BMX rider. He's
Mm.
the most BMX I've ever seen for a kid of that age. It's not just his riding, like he fully immerses himself in the culture, how to dress, how to roll out fakies, like watching old videos, and that just makes me smile. I think that's fantastic. So
Yeah, that is
it's
sick.
an exciting time for sure.
Yeah, for sure, man. Hey, just before we wrap things up, is there anything like creatively outside of bike development that's going on with We the People for the next sort of year?
Kind of outside of bike
Yeah,
development, like
film a video.
yeah, I mean the team are always filming. Like Felix and Jordan are working on a monster We the People video right
Oh,
now,
cool.
which will be I don't know if I can say when it will be premiered, but it will be hopefully premiered like pretty soon at
Yeah.
a pretty big event over here. So they're working on that, and that would be fantastic. I mean, we're always, trying to do as many events as possible, support jams, supporting
Mm.
riders, like all of our riders, especially with people in eclat are doing so much right now. I mean, we just posted a video with Termite today with John
Oh,
McKellar,
sick.
like
Yeah,
2 minutes
awesome.
before I spoke to you. That's sick. That guy is fantastic.
Oh man,
You
he's an
know,
absolute legend.
shout out to John.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like so I think we've got quite a lot of stuff going on, like outside of the product side things for sure. Like I think there's a lot of really cool events in BMX right now,
Mm.
and like that's rad. But we have yeah, quite a lot of stuff, a lot of new products, obviously, like
Yeah.
working on bikes, new parts, frames, whole bunch of new product is kind of like arriving at distributions now, which is quite cool. I mean, I could talk for hours about it. There's a new Lewis Mills controller bar. That's cool. Worked with Lou on like a new version of his bar. It's got a 4-piece version now. The new Tibia XLT crank on a Klar. That's a product I'm really hyped on. It's super lightweight, super strong BMX crank. It's like so much lighter than a regular Tibia. Felix and Jordan have been riding them for like 2 years now or something.
Holy shit.
So I think
Yeah, right.
that's a good development. Probably these new Surge XL pedals.
Oh yeah.
Not in this color though. This is like a limited edition color that maybe we release in the future. But yeah, working with you on something very different, a
Mm.
really high end alloy trail pedal. That's a product I'm super
Just
hyped on. I
missing
mean,
from the market, man. It was just missing from the market. The
it's a
BMX
bit
world
it's
did not
yeah.
have a pedal like that, and it
I
was
mean,
long
obviously
overdue.
BMX pedals have obviously gone in the direction of cheap, affordable, having a built-in flex designed for grinding. But a lot of BMX riders were riding alloy mountain bike pedals, and for the size, I mean, mountain bikers moved to a much bigger platform area a lot sooner than we did. But yeah, this was a fun project, and we're really hyped on this as a brand. Like
Yeah.
this is yeah, we could talk a lot about that one, but it's I guess the cool thing is it's obviously full CNC machine pedal body. It's the biggest. I could be wrong, but I've done a lot of research. It's probably one of the biggest platform pedals ever made in terms of surface area. It really is big. But we've got the double bearing and bushing system. One thing that's kind of cool on this that goes unnoticed, it's something we've done on the original Surge pedal, is we have what we call this impact ring right behind here, right behind the bushing. And that's something that Harry did years ago, which basically prevents the pedal from getting blown out. Like back in the day of original metal pedals, bikes would always hit on the side of the pedal and it would
Mm.
just blow out the bearings. So we have our own system here, which is kind of like a tapered cone that preloads the internals of the pedals and prevents the bearings and the bushing from getting blown out. So essentially, you can hit the pedal as many times as you want, and that thing is not going to get any play. And
Yeah, I
that's
was
that's something specific, exclusive to us, and it's something that yeah, you won't find anywhere else other than on a claw pedal, really. So
yeah,
that's what's
because
kind of cool about this thing.
like I've got my bike here, and yeah, that's the one thing I was actually really surprised that about. Like honestly, not shitting you. You didn't tell me about that impact ring until just the other like last month or something. I couldn't really obviously we were talking just over the phone, so you know you explaining it to me now is a lot better. But those pedals I've had for what, at least 18 months or something probably.
Yeah,
And they're
coming up to
still,
2 years.
yeah, coming up 2 years. And they're still like they're still tight. Like
Yeah.
they literally have no play on them. Like
I
it's
mean, there's so many like small
like
things we put in the products
yeah,
that I think we just never have time to fully explain.
yeah.
Sometimes
It's
we
one
need
of
to
those
find
things
it.
that yeah, like obviously I've got a lot of favorite parts on my bike, but putting my feet on those pedals makes me pretty damn happy every time I do it. That's for sure.
That's good to hear. Yeah, I mean, if you want a super high-end alloy pedal with like a real nice concave, large platform area that's built to last, super grippy, then yeah, Surge XL pedal. This is available around now, already dropped in a few countries, and that's coming soon. But
Yeah, mate, I just need to
yeah,
get
we could probably talk about the details of products for a long time. But
it.
yeah, like we've done a lot already in the past few years,
Yeah,
especially together, and there's plenty more stuff in the pipeline. And I think
yeah,
as a company, we're just excited not to slow down in any way in regard to kind of making the bikes that people want. You know, we're listening a lot closer than people think to kind of whether it's an Instagram comment or just outriding what people are saying. So
mm,
like it's always like a steady kind of like supply of like small tweaks, changes, and new products. But
yeah,
I think BMX needs that. I think people need to be excited by product in order to go buy it. And if it's just
for sure.
another frame with the same geometry or another ED black handlebar with a different sticker, I mean, you need those products for sure. But yeah, I think the solution isn't to slow down; it's to keep exciting people and
Yeah,
creating products that people
that's
are
you know
hyped
that
to ride.
yeah, I totally agree with you, man. That's why I wanted to have you on again because, like I said at the start of this podcast, like that was something that really struck a chord with me, and you know, I know that I ride for you guys, but like that was it was more to me than that. You know, it was like I'm a BMX nerd, like that has been a part of the BMX industry with through the shop. You know, the shop's 19 years old, and I've
Oh wow, crazy.
been there the entire,
That's amazing.
pretty much the entire time. Like,
Hats off to you.
and
19 years running a BMX shop. That's
yeah,
incredible.
so it's like you know, I've seen a lot of stuff come and go, but then being able to see behind the curtain, in that detail, and really, even after all the conversations that we've had, still being like, man, I feel like people need to know more about this sort of stuff. So, you know, as much as it probably just sounded like a hour long infomercial, it's not really that. It's just like I just want
Yeah, yeah,
people to understand that like there is a lot of things that go on in BMX that probably flies over the head of a lot of people.
yeah,
And
totally. It's a lot
that's
of
why I
hard
wanted
work. Yeah.
to have you guys on or have you on again, you know.
Thank
So
you. Appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, like, there's a lot of extremely hardworking people in BMX that don't get a public thank you
mm,
or recognition. They do it simply because they love it.
yeah,
And that's off to all those people because without them, we wouldn't have what we have. There's working in BMX sometimes is a very thankless job, you know,
yeah,
and whether you're, you know, working for a brand or you're supporting running a shop, you know, one of the hardest jobs in BMX, in my opinion. So like yeah, there's a lot of people keeping the cogs running throughout the whole industry, and yeah, I kind of raise my glass to all of those people because if it wasn't for them, then we wouldn't have this thing that we give a shit about so hard, you know.
for sure,
So
man. Yeah, I
yeah,
agree.
shout out to BMX shops and BMX companies.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I agree, man. Well, you know, no doubt we'll talk again real soon, but
Yeah,
yeah,
sure.
stoked to have you on again and pick your
Thank you
brain
for
as
having me.
always. And
Sure.
yeah, loved every minute of it.
Yeah,
But
thanks for always challenging me on a daily basis.
no
No, we love
worries,
it.
no
We
worries,
love.
man.
No, no, no. It's fantastic. Great to talk to you. And yeah, I guess any good infomercial has ended up with, yeah, if anyone wants to know any more about We Make Things or We the People or Claw Radio products, just go on the website and hopefully we get some of you excited with some of the new stuff we've got coming out. And thanks to you and thanks to all the people that, you know, represent and help our brand, whether it's riders, shops, distributions, people just running a sticker on a top tube or a handlebar. Like shout out to all of you. So you help keep the ship going.
Yeah, awesome, Dave. All right,
Nice
mate.
one.
Well, thanks again, mate. I'll speak to you
No
again.
worries. Cheers. Thanks, Tyson.
See you, bud.